Hey, so here we are with the remix project, and this is my version of it, which I've renamed Cabot Remix. And here's how it looks after I've messed around with it a bit. Our original 4 tracks here, which only go to 8 bars, or the beginning of 9, and they're all muted. Let's listen to them though. So I'm going to unmute these and mute my remix tracks, and we can just listen to those original 4 tracks to get a sense of what that sounded like. Okay, now going back to my remix. Let's hear what that sounds like. And then it just kind of loops back to the beginning. So let's take a look through some of these tracks, and I'll try to explain what I did, and maybe it'll help you as you do your own remixes. I hope so, anyway. One of the simplest things you can do is just break things up, right? So I took this drum track, took it out to the end of 6 bars, and then I brought back some drums between 13 and 15. Other places that I broke things up a little more dramatically were, let's say, the trombone, and of course the trumpet. Let's look at the trumpet first, since that's the most broken up. Now there's a reverb, there's some heavy reverb on this track as well, but let's ignore that for the moment. Let's just look at the way that I broke it up. So I took one of these little trombone stabs, I think you'd call it. I'm sorry, one of the trumpet stabs here, and you can hear them. I'll turn this off for a sec. Okay, you can hear the reverb, but you can also hear how they're nice, these nice little discrete single notes. So I just took one of those, copied it and pasted it kind of rhythmically. In the beginning, I just made one of them at the very beginning of the first bar, or close to the beginning of the first bar. Okay. The reverb that's playing right now is actually kind of a glitch on the part of GarageBand. It's not supposed to have reverb right there. The reverb comes up, and I'll show you how that works later. But then I doubled them up, right? Once we got to, zoom out a little bit. After 1, I went 2 bars, and then I put one at 3 and 4, so it doubled, and then I put one at 5, 5.5, 6. And then starting at 7, they're on every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I started to do at 8, I started to loop them. So I took one of these, and I just looped it out like this, right? After making sure, and this is very important, making sure that that first region is exactly 1 beat long. You zoom in, you have to use, oops, oh, come on. Talk about glitching. Try to zoom in, but not too far. You have to use these divisions and use them right. So if you stretch out the beat to just the right length, in other words, between 7.4 and 7.43 in this case, then you loop it, it comes out in exact subdivisions. So that's what I did here. And then I made a shorter trumpet, right? See how zoomed in I am here. So this clip was super short, but it's still right on that measurement right there, up there. And then once it's exactly the right length, which you're using this trim tool at the bottom of the region, then you can go up to the top and loop it out. And then I did it even faster. I don't know what those are, 64th notes or something. Okay? All right. First step in being a remix wizard, learning to make those regions just the right length so you can loop them effectively. Now, enough about that. That's the remix that has to do with chopping up notes and rearranging them and trying to find ways to place them so that they still are falling onto the beat and the regular subdivisions of this music, and then extending your piece out to 16 bars that way. Then I want to talk about the effects and automation. So as you can remember, any one of these effects, let's look at the trumpet again, has any one of these tracks, I'm sorry, can have automation. Can have effects on them. So this track has, let's see, the compressor is off here, but the channel EQ is on, and the space designer reverb was there. And to get that, remember, I just click in here, you go down to your reverb, and I went to space designer. You can go to anything. There's a lot of fun things to play around with: distortion, delay. You can pitch things up and down. I didn't do any of that, but that sure can make things sound weird and fun. But you can also control how much those things change, like more or less reverb as you go through. And the simplest way to talk about that maybe is using volume. So if I go here and I click on automation, which is here, or you can just press the A key, now I'm showing my automation. And going back to the trumpet, you have this down here, you can see how much reverb output is supposed to be on this track. So that's got no reverb. If I were to take and add reverb to this, right, reverb output to this one hit or stab, it might sound like. Okay, see how it changed, added a lot of reverb? Well, I'm going to undo that. I don't want it to add reverb there, but it does add reverb as the time goes down here. We're soloing the trumpet, listening to the reverb as it picks up here. I can exaggerate it a little bit. Hear how that comes up? Okay, so every one of the effects that I placed on this track, it says used, can be changed over time. That's automation. Okay, if I want these trumpet stabs, let's say, to get loud and quiet, I could use my volume. You have to make sure that you're in, whichever effect or parameter you want. Okay, and automate those changes using these keyframes and these lines. Okay, that's what I did on all of these tracks. So if we go up to the trombone remix, you can see that I've got some changes in the volume, but you can see that I've also got, the delay changes, right? I've got that weird stereo delay and the delay descend, I think it was called. And you can see how much I've got that on here, but off as the trumpet goes on. So and then it's off. So it's not playing that weird descending delay on that part. Okay? Another example would be on the drums, and this is an EQ that I have on this track, and I'll show you what it looks like in the on the single band EQ. What I've got is what's called a low cut. That means it's going to cut off all frequencies above a certain point. Take that back. It's going to cut off all frequencies below a certain point. That's why it's called a low cut. I was misreading this as 20 kilohertz. So 20 hertz, which is really down at the bottom, nothing is going to get cut off if it's at 20 hertz, right? That is a very low frequency. So at this point, very little is getting cut off. Let's solo this. So you can see that value changing as it goes. So now it's down at 166 hertz. So it is cutting off some of the low frequencies. As it gets up to here, it's cutting off even more of the low frequencies. Everything below 405 hertz. Goes back down for a second, and then here it's very tinny, high up. It's cutting off everything below 4,000 hertz. But that's all I wanted it to do. From then on, when the drums come back, they are at, basically that effect is turned off. So you can hear them at their regular frequency. Okay, that's called the low cut. You can change that to a high cut, so you're only keeping the low frequencies and cutting off everything that's high. And so forth. So there's a lot of different effects. The only way to really get them is to play around with them, add effects to your tracks, turn on automation, and explore the different settings and how they sound when they change over time. Okay, thanks for watching.